Welcome to Business Over Beer, where entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people passionate about what they do bring us their stories and their favorite beer. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Knope, it's time to get down to business and drink some beer.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the second biggest podcast in the Pacific Northwest. We are still on the heels of those pesky Sasquatch Hunters, but I know for a fact this episode right here is going to take us to the next level, and we will pass those stupid big feet. This is, of course, Business Over Beer. I am your co-host, Ben Surratt. Alongside me is the man of the hour, the terror of power. Some people call him the Space Cowboy. Some people call him the Ohio Grass Man. Some people call him Man Bun. But of course we know this. We call him Spartacus. It is Jonathan Kaler. Happy Friday, Jonathan.
Happy Friday, Benjamin. I have led you here. I am Spartacus. I appreciate the wonderful introduction as always. The shout out to the Man Bun always makes me feel warm inside. Feeling great. I worked out today in preparation for our guest, so I'm feeling strong, feeling healthy. I'm going to try to ruin that a little bit later by drinking enough beer, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what our guest has to say about that. Hey, and speaking of working out, hey, Knope is still with us. We haven't fired him yet. He is the gangsta of Hazeldale, and I am down with the Knopp.
Yeah, you know me.
Jason Knope, welcome back to Business Over Beer, my friend. How you feeling tonight?
I have been waiting to get back into podcasting tonight so I could drink some beer with all of you. It's been a fantastic week, beautiful weather. And
yeah, because you don't drink in between podcasts, right? Unlike Ben and I.
I mean,
we drink all the
sometimes
time.
I do. Sometimes I do,
much, right?
but I just, a lot of times I just don't get around to it. I need to make more time for drinking during the off time of not podcasting. So,
well, it's important to have priorities, Knope.
Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to drink the next 5 days straight and see what happens. See what happens.
Excellent.
So, hey, we got a pretty spectacular guest tonight. We're here with Daniel Jahn, the owner and director of training and education at Maximum Sports Conditioning in Bellevue, Washington. Daniel, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Daniel.
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you coming on the show. So we always like to start with your business, but I'm going to go in a different direction tonight because you told us that you have a python, and I'm hoping that you don't have a pet snake, but that you're referring to like your Hulk Hogan arms as your pythons, and that you don't actually have a pet snake. Do you really have a pet python?
You know, I think I've got both. You know, I like the python. I'll take the python arms, although I don't know. But yes, we do. We have a ball python. We do. Yes.
That is insane. And please share with everybody. Maybe I'm the only one who got a kick out of this. Please tell us the name of your python.
The name of our ball python is Sheila.
Sheila, of course. Yeah.
Right? I mean, doesn't it fit?
Yeah. I get it, man. I get it.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
There's got to be a story there.
Well, there's, of course. I mean, anybody who owns a snake has a story.
True. Is that how that works?
So, I'll give you the basics, but unfortunately, I was born allergic to all the cute, furry, fuzzy animals out there. Okay. So I didn't get to grow up having, cats and dogs and guinea pigs and all that stuff, unfortunately. And so I got to grow up with reptiles. So I had a turtle growing up, and then when I had kids, we had a lizard and all of these, animals that aren't so cute, but at least they're something. And so, we moved to this house about 4 or 5 years ago, and the kids wanted to get an animal. And so they had their choice of a reptile. And they decided that they would like a snake. So
wait. So the kids decided they wanted the snake?
Well, okay, we're you guys are parents here. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, so the kids always want the pet, but who takes care of the pet?
Right.
Yeah. So now you're looking at the proud owner of a ball python. I'm the one dropping the rats in the cage, man. That's how it goes.
Ooh.
But okay, Jonathan, here's the thing, though. Okay, I know you don't like snakes, but just
True.
hear me out. Okay, hear me out. This is what I do. What about dogs? Do you like dogs?
I like dogs.
Okay, so in the news and around the media and talking to friends, how many times have you heard about a dog biting somebody or like a dog attack? Right? You hear it all
plenty.
How many times have you heard of snake attacks?
Well, in Florida, it's kind of common, isn't it?
Isn't it?
I think so. That and alligators.
Good thing we ain't in Florida.
Well, that's true too. If we're hiking, we might run into a rattler. We did hear about that. One of our former guests talked about that, but he didn't get attacked.
And that's good. And I would probably stay away from any wild animal, no matter what it is.
Yeah, that's probably good advice.
A wild snake, stay the hell away from it. Okay, domestic snakes, they're pretty safe.
All right. How long is your python?
She is about 4 feet, and she's probably going to be 5 feet.
Can you real quick you have like a portable something that we can take a look at the python?
You want me to go get them?
Yeah.
I can go.
Python's portable.
I can go pull her out, but only if later maybe I can drive down to Vancouver and go right to Jonathan's house and just leave her there with him.
We can make that happen.
We can make that happen.
My son would adore that. So sure.
I will definitely go get her. You're gonna have to give me about 30 seconds. Is that gonna work?
Whatever.
Oh, sorry. Thanks for joining us this week on the Business Over Beer podcast. It was great to meet you, Daniel. We'll see everybody next week.
I want to. Can we? Let's drink some beer first.
Yeah.
Oh, Jonathan left. Look at him. He left.
Oh,
He's gone.
Oh.
He's running from the snake.
All right.
Let's drink some beers first.
Yeah.
And then get the snake. That's when the fun really happens.
So as I mentioned, Daniel, we do typically like to start with your business.
Mm-hmm.
So give us the 50,000-foot view of your business and kind of what you're into.
Absolutely, yes. So my business is in the athletic performance training industry. So we are kind of a branch of the whole health and fitness arm. So we work with primarily young athletes, most of which are 12 to 22. So, middle school up to college. And we see some pro as well. But we're in the business of making them bigger, stronger, faster, and hopefully help them improve their performance on the field and on the court. So that's the general layout. It's an industry that has grown quite a bit in the last, I would say 15, 20 years. We've been in business now, gosh, I guess 13, maybe going on 14 years.
Wow.
And so it's changed. The landscape has changed quite a bit since I started the thing.
In what way?
So, well, when I've been in the performance training industry for 21 years now. So in school, I was actually medically disqualified when I was playing ball. And so when that happened, I got hired as a coach. And so they brought me in as a strength and conditioning coach, and I worked with several sports, and I did that for 6-7 years. And then I left in 2005 or 2006 or so. And originally I actually left to run a nonprofit organization, training kids who couldn't afford it, and doing some work in the community. And at the same time, I trained athletes at a buddy of mine's place, and realized after about a year how difficult the nonprofit sector is and raising money. And so stepped back and said, well, I got to be able to feed my own kids before I can feed other people's. And so that was when I, opened up my own shop. And at that time, performance training was not a regular thing in the private sector. So, it was fairly rare to see strength coaches working with kids who were not at some high level, program, college program. And so, really what changed the landscape was CrossFit, and not directly, CrossFit doesn't do performance training per se, but what they changed the private fitness landscape in the early 2000s, because up until they started really growing, the only options for folks were really the health club, or like big box gyms, or there was, like I said, there's a few performance training places around. But for the folks who were into, the outdoors, the climbing and hiking and kind of extreme sports, and there was really no option for them. And what CrossFit did was essentially opened up opportunities for people to be able to train folks like out of their garage, right? And so it scaled everything way down, took the cost of starting a business like that or starting a gym, dropped it significantly, and it, spread like wildfire. And so when that happened, the market opened up, but then it also, anytime you get, an increase in market size, you also get additional players in the space. And so, anybody by 2010, 2011, you started to see, anybody who watched somebody doing a ladder drill on YouTube thought that they could be a strength coach and train athletes, right? And so they started opening up their own places, and really, a lot of them didn't even make it that far, but they would claim to train athletes and partner up with teams and things like that. So the business aspect, the marketing part of our industry, changed quite a bit.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. I never even thought of it that way, but man, that's really interesting.
Yeah, and it was a good thing overall. It did, because it got more people into exercising.
I was going to say, yeah.
So I just think that it watered down the industry just a little bit. It made it a little bit too easy to facilitate workouts. This is when you're dealing with people's livelihood and their health and their, and their bodies, and you really want to know what you're doing. We got to, people go to school and get degrees in this stuff, and you have to, we got to hold multiple certifications, and for people just to jump in without that, knowledge and education can be dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
Heard a lot of stories about injuries in CrossFit too. So
yeah,
not knowing what you're doing could be a bad thing.
Exactly.
Cool. I can't wait to get down deeper into all of that. But this is the Business Over Beer podcast. This is the beer portion of the program. Daniel, we ask all of our guests to bring a beer to share. Have you brought us a beer to share?
Jonathan, I have.
Yes. You wouldn't let us down. Tell us about your beer.
Yes, I will. So I have brought the Elysian Space Dust IPA. Do we all have? Oh, look at that. We've all got one. Oh, there it is. There it is. So I've got a little story. Now, first off, disclaimer. I got to throw this out there. Okay. I got to admit, I am a tequila man. So.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. Somebody's got to be.
Oh, baby. I am a tequila man. So, beer is not my first go-to. Now, I'll do it, and I've done it, and that's why I've brought the Elysian, which we're going to talk about. But I would love to one day invite you guys into the Business Over Tequila podcast, which maybe I'll start one day.
The bot.
The bot.
Deal. Well, Ben and I'll come. Canopes out. Canope feels about tequila the way I feel about snakes.
Oh, maybe even worse.
Dude, you must have had a bad experience.
That's what everybody says. Did you have a bad experience? Okay, well, then you haven't tasted good tequila. And every time I've tasted good tequila, it still tastes like tequila. It still smells like tequila. So I don't know. I'm guessing, maybe you might have some other options there, but I went on a tour in Mexico, and we went to a tequila plant, or whatever you call them. And I was like, no, not having any. Not having any. They convinced me to take just a little tiny sip. I took a little sip, and within like seconds, my stomach started going, no, I'm done.
Yeah. You're probably shut down then.
Yeah. And maybe there's some sort of allergy with it. I don't know. But
well, I'll tell you, Nope, you are missing out, brother.
Well, there's more for you then.
That's right.
I'm doing you a favor here.
Maybe we got our exit plan for Canope. we just changed the format completely, and sorry, Canope, there's not a place for you anymore. Your position has been eliminated. We could try that.
There you go.
Meet Daniel.
Yeah. The downside of that is we got to drink tequila every week.
That's the downside.
Yeah. Not always that's not a bad thing. No. But okay, I'll tell you. Before I get into the Elysian, I will tell you. Tequila. It's all about the tequila you drink, man. And there's really, drinking good tequila is, it goes down real smooth. Drinking bad tequila will just jack your whole night up.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to know the differences.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like Scotch, right? Like, you have people who have these horror stories around Scotch, but they were drinking, terrible bad Scotch. So yeah, I'm not a huge hard alcohol drinker, and I haven't had a drink of tequila in years and decades. So
yeah,
I would certainly be open to giving it a try.
Yeah, I've got a few names for you, so I'll hold you guys to that.
I got a few names for him too, but we won't go.
All right, let's do some drinking.
Okay, so the Elysian Space Dust, man. So my brother-in-law, like I said, I was never really a huge beer guy. Even this is about 15 years ago. But yeah, and so he invited me to the Elysian Brewery in Seattle, and I said, and wherever you're going, I'll go meet you there, and hang out. And so it was really the first time that I had been to a kind of a large brewery, with lots on tap and lots of options, and I had a great time there, and just pretty much found myself there, every couple of weeks hanging out with him or friends, and so I kind of fell in love with a lot of their options, and so the Space Dust, I figured the Space Dust was the way to go for our little our little night tonight, man.
I dig it.
We're huge. Well, Ben and I are huge IPA drinkers, so anytime you bring an IPA on the program, we're all for it. So
Canope.
Well, you think I'm not going to like it?
No, I think you'll like it. I think it's good. You're going to be surprised by it.
I think I've actually had this before.
Have you?
Yeah, I think so.
You're going to be surprised how much you will like it.
Prost.
Cheers, gentlemen.
It's very lagery, especially in the nose.
It does have that sort of lager essence to it on the nose, but not in the taste.
No,
not at all.
It's super earthy. It's got a lot of backbone. It's really nice. I love the mouthfeel. It's got a big, bold mouthfeel. The hop doesn't punch you in the face. It's not up front. It kind of goes more down the back.
Right here, yeah.
But good Northwest style IPA. Very true to the region. It's good beer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm. And I had this a while ago. I picked this up accidentally. I didn't get it. So I'm a big fan of pumpkin anything. I'm a big pumpkin guy, and I love pumpkin beer. Yes, I said it. Okay, yes, pumpkin beer. And Elysian has a fantastic pumpkin ale. It's just unbelievable. And my lovely wife, I said, get some Elysian, thinking that she knew. I assumed she knew which one. She understood the time of year, and she picked this one up instead. I'm like, what are you doing, whatever? So I had it, and I killed it. And it was probably one of the third or fourth worst hangovers ever. Because these slide down. They're spooky. They slide down.
Oh, I mean, I've had like 2 sips. And I'm 2 sips away from it already being gone. It's
and at like
real easy.
At like 8.2%. Oh, dude.
Is it 8.2%?
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It doesn't drink like 8.2.
No, I'm telling you. That's why I was like,
wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What do you think, Daniel? I mean,
well, I love it. I am, I'm into the IPAs. I'm also a lighter guy. I'll do, the blondes and the lagers too. I can't. So here's another thing. I was thinking about you guys when I went and picked this up, and I said, I'm going to spice things up too. I'm going to bring them a beer that I would never drink, but I'm wondering if you guys have. And I'm going to show it to you right here. It's called Irish Death.
Irish Death.
Yeah.
Have you guys done this one before?
Yeah.
I can't do the dark ones, man. I can't. Have you done it?
I've drank it. We've never had it on the show, but
okay.
Man, you should have done that. You should have done that one.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could get it. It's like eating with a spoon. I don't know if I could do it.
I don't think Irish Death is. I mean, it's darker, but it's not like heavy.
It's not a stout.
It's not a stout. Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's an Irish.
Is it an
probably
ale?
An Irish dark ale of some kind. But yeah, it's probably not as thick as a stout.
It's not what you think.
Okay. I looked at it and I said, "Man, that's a dark one." I don't know if I could hang, but I bet the fellas could.
Well, now I kind of want to go grab one and have us all drink one together. We'll do that when we'll do that as a chaser
awesome.
when we do business over tequila.
But there we go.
Crap.
Hey, and since you're German, check out alt beer. You find a good alt beer. It's dark, but they're smooth and they're nice beers to drink. It's not your typical like a stout or anything. So if you see an alt, try it.
Okay, good to know.
So Daniel, you mentioned that there's a lot of people out there that are training and they don't necessarily have the education. We've noticed a lot of letters behind your name: CSCS, USAW, NASM, ABC, XYZ. What are all these letters? What do those stand for? What do you got?
Yeah, man. Well, and I think it's true of any industry, right? Any specialist, particularly somebody that's working, like I said earlier, if you're working with somebody's body, if you're working with somebody's mind, if you're doing something to someone that could alter and change their whole life, really, right? I mean, you want to know what you're doing. So in our industry, the performance training industry, there are a couple of major certifying bodies, and the National Strength and Conditioning Association is the biggest. And they have several certifications that specialize in different areas of performance training. And so, the one, I've got 2 of them. One is a certified strength and conditioning specialist, and then the other one is a registered strength and conditioning coach. And then the NASM is another certifying body. They are the National Strength and Conditioning Association really is directed towards college folks. So I think actually in another year or 2, they won't even allow you to get the cert without an exercise science degree, which is another story I'm going to tell you after this one. But the NASM, the National Academy of Sports Medicine, is directed towards like a lot of personal trainers, and so you don't necessarily have to have a college degree to get that certification. And then the other one is USA Weightlifting, and so weightlifting is actually only categorized by what you see in the Olympics, which are the snatch, which is how much weight can you get over your head in one move, and the clean and jerk, which is essentially how much weight can you get over your head in 2 moves. And so in order to coach, those lifts, you've got to have this, at least coach competitors in those lifts. You've got to have this certification. And so I know we started talking earlier a little bit about CrossFit, and I've got a lot of great people do CrossFit. I've got some buddies that have had CrossFit gyms, and so I don't have a problem with them. But when they first really started to grow was they were certifying people who didn't have a weightlifting certification, and they were asking them to do, or they were asking the coaches to train movement patterns that are really dangerous and that you need to have, a lot of biomechanical knowledge to be able to teach. And so that's why, it's CrossFit actually for, between 2000 and, 6, 7, and like 2014 or so, they were getting sued a lot because people were dropping weights they were getting hurt and weren't properly progressed, through all of these movement patterns. So essentially those are the certifications, and there's others, but like the bottom line is, man, you gotta, if you're teaching something, if you're working with somebody that, in an area that can alter their life, you want to know what you're doing. So
yeah,
that's the long.
It's interesting. Like, I think you get into the professional world, and this idea of coach, whether it be what you're doing, or business coaches or life coaches, right? Anybody can throw this term coach around. Mm-hmm. But if you're a professional athlete, or if you're a student, right, like you would expect that your teachers or your coaches have those certifications, they have that education, they actually know what they're doing. But so it's interesting that people jump into these different areas and call themselves a coach without it. So I think that's good advice for anybody who's looking for coaching, is make sure that they are certified to do what they say they're going to do, not just some schmo like me off the street who's like, well, I want to consult now, and instead of being a consultant, I'm going to call myself a coach because it sounds better.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure, man. And like I mentioned, it's when you're dealing with a public who really doesn't understand a lot of the language and the terminology that you need to use, then it can be easily, or people can get easily fooled.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you throw around a couple of terms, then all of a sudden you sound smart, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm just going to go to this person. But even though they don't know what they're doing, and next thing you know, you're hurt and you miss a full season, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So you talked a little bit about sort of the leap from the nonprofits into starting your own business. What was the draw there, or the drive there to go and leap out on your own? You could have probably done personal training, coaching in some other capacity. You could have gone to a university and worked for somebody else, but to be an entrepreneur, to start your own thing and to do it the way you wanted to do it, there must have been a draw there. What was in your guts there when you decided, hey, I want to go do my own thing?
Yeah, no, thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it. When I was at the University of Washington as a strength coach during a time where really late 90s, early 2000s, where strength coaches around the nation really weren't respected the way that they should be, and for their jobs and their position. And so they weren't paid very well, and they were asked to do, a lot of things. You had to work 70, 80-hour weeks, and, hourly, wages. You get paid salary, but hourly wages back then, you're getting like $3 an hour when you when you calculate the whole thing out.
Right. Geez.
And there's no job security. Right. So as a strength coach, you can do everything right. Your kids can get stronger. You can decrease the amount of injuries. But if the team has a crappy season, coach gets canned, you're getting canned. And so part of my leaving actually the university was, I'd started a family, and so job security was an issue, and then travel was another issue. All the travel was hard. I think it can be hard on a family. And I had a difference in philosophy with a new head strength coach who would come in, and so it was a little hard to work with him. But I had all of that kind of sitting on my left shoulder as I left. And so, the little guy on my right shoulder is telling me, well, we got to make this work because we already know, we already know what's going on, on the left shoulder, right? The athletic directors really aren't going to let you do what you want to do, and you're not going to get rewarded for the work that you're putting in. And so, as I left, but I mean, at this time, and I'm this is why I wanted to come back to the educational piece and certification piece, because I actually didn't go to school. I don't have an exercise science degree. I did not go to school to be a strength coach. I got a history degree. I have a sociology degree. I started out as physics and math, so I've got a physics minor. And I intended to play, but when I got medically disqualified, the coaches just saw value in me coaching. And so that was when I kind of went back, and I was, in my 4th year and already on my way to finishing my degrees. And then they said, well, hey, we want to pay you to hire you as a strength coach. So then I had to go sit in on all the anatomy and the physiology classes, because the University of Washington actually doesn't even offer exercise science as a degree. And so, and so for me, in the exercise science field, biomechanics and kinesiology come fairly straightforward. But anatomy and physiology in particular, that's why it takes doctors so long to become doctors, because of human physiology, right? It is very complex, and there's a lot to learn. And so, then I essentially had to teach myself, right? I had to go sit on classes and get the certifications and study on my own after I had these other degrees. And so then when I went and left the U, and I realized, okay, well, if I'm going to make it for myself, I'm going to be running a business, I better learn a little bit about business. And so then I became kind of self-taught there too. So it was like what I call automobile university, man. I mean, I'd pop the CD. This is back when there were still CDs, okay? I'd pop the CD in the car, and I'd listen to business experts, and I'd, listen to all kinds of folks, right? Accountants and, executives and just people talking and honestly, listening to conversations like these, where people are just sharing information and just a knowledge about being successful in business. And so at that point, I fell in love with it. And it was like, wow, okay, you know what? This is running a business is where it's at. I mean, I can take it as high as I want it. And, nobody is going to be there to, with a ball and chain, keeping me back, holding me down. And I mean, it excites me. And so I just kind of fell in love with it.
That's awesome.
That is rad, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
You've been doing this for 13 years?
Yeah. Well, really, in business 14, but I started this particular business 13 years ago.
Wow. My goodness. So, I mean, I'm just, my wife and I are self-employed. We have our own business, and we've been doing the same thing for about 11 years now, almost. Man. There's always so my wife and I have a manufactured home business, and there's a lot of stigma that goes along with that. A lot of misnomers, that we hear. What are some things that you hear about your business that you're like, ugh, this again? I have to keep dealing with this.
Oh, that's a great question, brother. That's a great question. Yeah, I think. In the performance training sector, I think a lot of us get a little annoyed when we get just lumped in with the fitness sector. So, if you're working with the general population, typically the kind of results that folks are looking for is, they want to increase their metabolic conditioning rate, and they want to drop body fat, and they, increase, muscle size and look better and feel better and be healthier. And those things are great. And there are specialists who do those kinds of things. But in the performance training space, those really aren't why we're there. Those are not the reasons we do what we do. Right. We are trying to get people to jump higher, run faster, you react quicker, move more efficiently, prevent be more durable, prevent injuries, right? And so I think, in that, when I entered the private sector, that was one of the things that I realized that it was hard for me to decipher, was that people oftentimes would come to the business to look better and feel better and be more healthy, which is okay. And like I said, it's good. And we do have some of those folks, but I wanted to make sure that we positioned ourselves with, essentially in the niche market that we are, which is performance training. And so it's always tough to make sure when you're running a private, because there really isn't, if you're going to make any money in this space, it's really hard to just only train athletes. Okay, you got to work with the public. You got to be able to be open to folks who are just trying to work out and exercise for, just to be more healthy, because there's just not enough athletes that have the time, have the space, that fit your model, that,
well, and let's get that have the money.
And that have the money. Absolutely, right? Oh yeah. So market size is an issue. So you do have to be open, but you want to be able to position yourself as, in the specialized area that you're in. And for us, it's athletic training, performance training, and so in making sure that the health fitness component is separated from the performance training component is kind of an important one.
So when you market your business, then do you have a health and fitness offering that is separate of the performance training, or do you somehow try to blur those lines and say, for somebody who's interested in the health and fitness, you want them to sort of have a bent towards performance? How do you sort of reconcile that for your business model and your marketing?
Yeah, no, good question. So we market directly to athletes, and anybody who comes in essentially as a general pop, just to be able to get healthy and to just get in shape, really only comes because they either heard they have a kid that trained with us, or a friend that trained with us, or that they heard about us somehow, and typically they'll ask us whether or not we also can train folks who are not athletes. And if we have the space and if we have the time, if we're not full, then we do, and we work with them typically in the morning, right? Kids are at school, and so in the morning we'll have either college folks, pro folks, or general pop folks that are coming in. But we don't aggressively or even actively go after the general population, because it can. The other thing is it's somewhat interesting is that athletes don't really want to. They are a little high and mighty when it comes to their training. So they want to feel like what they're doing is exclusive and it's unique and it's specialized. And so they're more likely to want to come to a specialized facility versus going to just a health club or a CrossFit place or just a gym that works with general pop folks. And so that's really why we don't position ourselves and as someone who a business that does that kind of work, because
right.
Athletes will see it and then they won't want to come, and that really affects our bottom line.
Do you guys ever have folks that are older that are still wanting to do more performance training in a particular sport? Not just, for recreational losing weight or whatnot, but just because they have a competitive drive and they want to continue doing what they've always done. You guys have many people that do that?
Oh yeah. We've got several. Yeah, we've got a lot of adults who come in who used to be athletes and they still want to train that way. And it's, it's really healthy, good, way to train if you're talking about longevity. So, we definitely do.
I'm curious about your customer base, because you talked about starting with, as low as middle school and into college athletes. So, are your customers, like, who's paying the bills? When I say customer, who's paying you? Like, so are you marketing to parents? Are you trying to market directly to the athletes? Are the schools referring you over? Kind of how do you find that customer base, and who are the different types of customers that you've got to go out and get after?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. We actually have two customers. You just mentioned it. We have the parent and we have the athlete. Okay, and the strategy is a little bit different with each one. Okay, so typically, it's all about network. I mean, I'm sure you guys have done 50 of these episodes, man. I mean, you talk to business owners all the time. I'm sure that you hear this all the time, but man, it's about your network. It's about connecting with people and who you know, and so for us, connecting with coaches and connecting with parents who may be ahead of a booster club, or parents who have several kids that play on a bunch of teams and that know other parents, and high school coaches. And although high schools, we don't typically go hard after high schools, and that's usually because they a lot of times they don't have the budget for it, or they may have a strength coach in the school, and then it gets a little bit tricky. The billing part of that gets a little bit tricky. So clubs are a little bit easier to work with. But bottom line is, yeah, we have to appease the parents and we have to appease the kids. So,
that has to be just,
Well, it's not,
it's the ones that are most difficult, right? The parents are probably the more difficult out of the ones.
They can be, but a lot of times, man, the parents get it and the kids don't, right? So they understand that, like, okay, this is something that my kid really needs to do, but maybe my kid is not quite ready, for it, and so they push them over the edge and they say, yeah, I mean, most of the time, the vast majority of the time, it's the parents that are reaching out to us. Okay, so they either do that online, they call, or they do it through a coach. But then the sell becomes the kid, right? So we bring the kid in for the trial and we assess them, and we do, we look at all their biomechanical motor patterns and determine what kind of program is going to be the best for them. But the bottom line is they got to walk out of there happy and excited and motivated to want to be in our space. And that's really the sell, right? I mean, the parent can say, yeah, we want you to come, but then the kid walks out and they're like, I hate it. They're not coming back, right? So it seems a little bit tricky and weird, with parent, but it actually flows. It flows fairly well.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ben, you look thirsty.
And I am Jonathan.
Should we have him go get the snake now?
Get the snake. Daniel, get the snake.
I'm going to go get Sheila.
Not the snake, Sheila.
Sheila. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Sheila. That's awesome, dude.
Here's her name, Ben. Here's her name. She's not the snake. Join us next week for part 2 of this episode. You can be sure we'll be talking more business and drinking more beer. Business Over Beer reminds you to always drink responsibly. Our theme song is Idiocracy by Christian Leo. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Business Over Beer, a TH3 Entertainment production.